We are live again. We had some technical
Technical
difficulties.
difficulties.
So, oh my God, what a week. What a 2 weeks since I've seen you.
I know, it's been
Comedy
crazy.
shows, I've done DJing gigs, I've
I did a
saw the
comedy show with
Avengers.
you.
Yeah, we did one together. That's what I mean.
That was great.
Yeah, how was so for those of you who are watching this and listening, we did a show at Bar 333 in Milford, great place. Shout out to them. They have awesome food, great drinks. The owners are awesome, the staff is awesome. So if you're in Milford, go check them out. And we did a show there April 30th, which was last Thursday. Wherever
Mm.
you're watching this, it's April 30th, 2015. We did a little comedy show, and I had me, Dan Calwhite. Of course, Adam Pru was on it, Mike Briskin, Brian Barganier headlined it, Dan Rice, Vinny Beadle was on there. Did I miss anybody? I was there, right?
I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. I was there. Boom, boom. The crowd was a little rowdy, a little rambunctious. Seemed like some of
Hmm.
them were talking a little bit, but the people who were involved in it were involved, and they really had a lot to say. And they're like, "Oh, I love this joke." So because I know mostly a lot of everyone's jokes. I watch, obviously I was watching them again, but I know their jokes. So when people say, "Oh, I love the joke he did about like the abortion thing or this or that or the," you know,
Oh, those abortion jokes
yeah,
always get them, don't
yeah,
they?
he's Barganier is such a great one though. I don't want to give it away.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, so how do you have a good time at the
Yeah, it
show? What
was
do you think?
great. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was fun. I feel like I did pretty well.
yeah,
Bar crowds are always it's always a different challenge when you compare it to something like a comedy club show,
hmm,
because the audience they test you a little bit more, and I think that's good. That's
hmm.
good for young comics to be tested, and I feel like they uh, we won them over. I feel like by the end of the show,
Oh
everybody
yeah,
was paying attention,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it went well.
yeah. I think you followed Briskin and he had like a little mini meltdown, but then you came up and it was funny because you would you say something like, "No, I'm not related to him," or
Yeah, I said something like I'm not related to Briskin
yeah,
because
yeah,
me and Briskin look alike. And I don't know, I feel like everybody was mentioning how much alike we looked
yeah,
at the show,
yeah. I
which
don't,
was weird because that's never happened before. I
yeah, I
mean, we're
don't
both
really think.
short white guys with glasses, but
Yeah,
like,
maybe that's what it was. They were just probably drunk. You guys look alike. You know how it is. But yeah, that show was a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing another one this month, May 28th. It's going to be the last Thursday of the month at 8 o'clock. So if you guys want to check it out, I actually got Pat Oates for the show, too. So Pat Oates is going to
oh,
headline
okay,
it.
nice.
Boom. And so I think he'll be great for that crowd, rowdy crowd. That's
Oh yeah,
his thing, which,
yeah.
well, I mean, he does whatever. He does at club. Like, he just does his thing wherever he is. So
Oh yeah.
a rowdy crowd's not going to stop him. That's so that's going to be
He's
good.
he's definitely a comic that's not afraid to get in their face a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
and
Very talented.
definitely put that crowd in their place,
Yeah,
which is
so
nice. I wish I had that kind of a thing.
yeah,
I guess it just comes with kind of doing it.
yeah, that's true. But I think, but we are gonna put up signs and stuff this time and make it a little clearer that this is a comedy show. And the people who were being the loudest, I think it was just some people who met up there and haven't seen each other for years. They were telling me afterwards, so I don't think they're gonna be there again. That was just a fluke, random occurrence. But other than that, it was packed, so we should be able to pack it out again.
Yeah, I
It's
was
gonna be
gonna ask you.
nicer. I mean, it's gonna be May, so
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how many people were there. Do you think?
I would say at least, I don't know, what, 40, 50 at least, I would
Yeah, I
say,
would say about that
I'm
too.
horrible at judging crowd sizes. I don't know, there was 10, there was 1,000, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that show. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Also, while we're giving shout outs to shows, there's this show that we're at Joker's Wild right now in the back room. It's a
Yeah,
Wednesday night and they do the Wednesday night cheap laughs. It's like $5. Come
that's
in,
right.
see a show at 8 o'clock every Wednesday. And then Thursday they're doing the buffet show, so they're gonna have a buffet beforehand and then a comedy show for $10
Oh
on
wow, I
Thursday
didn't know
nights.
that. Wow,
Yeah,
buffet thing. Oh,
yeah.
cool.
I might have to skip out on my open mic. Come eat for $10. No, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. So that's what's going on here. And then the other thing I want to talk about was the Avengers movie that we both saw
Yes, we both
separately.
saw. Yeah.
All right. So why don't you go first with yours? Apparently, you were on a date. I heard this right.
Yeah, yeah. Me and let's just tell everybody what just happened. We were recording.
Yeah, we were recording and there was technical difficulty, and I
Yeah,
had to restart
yeah,
again.
we were
So
recording for about 15 minutes,
yeah.
and I I'll let you go first this time.
Oh, about my Avengers
Yeah,
thing.
your Avengers
Okay,
story.
so today I knew I was going to be recording podcasts because Wednesday we come here and I do Pat Oates is Sad, which is Pat Oates' podcast. and I'm on there with him, but it's mostly him talking, which is great, brilliant. You should listen to it, especially if you're a young comedian. Listen to it.
Yeah, that is good.
And then we do the Good for Nothing podcast, which is Sean Murray, Dan Rice, Kevin Fitzgerald, and they normally have a guest. And that is, it's not a podcast like we're interviewing and talking to people. That's more of a show where they do characters,
Hmm.
and it's, I don't know what you would call it, but that's what that is. So it's awesome. Really funny. I mean, I record that. I'm not in that. I've been on one of them, but I don't have a mic. But usually, you always hear me laughing in the background. Like I'm here just laughing at what they're saying because it's that funny. So that's a lot of fun. And so I knew I was gonna see do those podcasts today. And I know Sean Murray and all those guys were talking about the Avengers, and they've been waiting. It's the big thing. So I
Yep.
was like, I gotta go see it because I know they're gonna talk about it. So today I woke up and I was like, should I go? The first one's at noon. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll sneak in, go to noon. And I decided to enhance my experience and not exactly be sober. So I went there,
All right. I
allegedly,
like your style.
allegedly a little high on marijuana, allegedly, but not like 2 hits, like just enough,
Oh wow. Okay, that's nothing.
you know. And I knew it was going to be 2 hours long, so I figured afterwards I'd be okay to drive, which I was fine afterwards. But yeah, so I did two hits, went there, and it was a really good movie. I had and I'm glad that I did smoke because I don't know, it just feels I feel like it was enhanced a little bit maybe somehow, but it
Did
made me focus a little better. I don't know, there's something about it, but it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. It was long, but I was in it, sitting there, and I went by myself. So I haven't gone.
I love going to the movies by
Yeah, I was
myself.
gonna say I haven't gone in a while by myself, but now that I did, especially for something like this, I'm glad I did because I don't know.
Daytime is definitely the time to go to the movies
Yeah,
by yourself, though.
yeah.
There's like definitely a cutoff. You don't want to go to the movies by yourself if it's like Friday night.
Well, yeah, that's tough because then there's so many people there and they won't shut up. And I guess you're at the movies by yourself. I'm just imagining a night where I'd have a Friday night off and I'm like excited about it. So I would, yeah, but for those that don't know, I DJ, so I'm working every Friday and Saturday. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. As we were saying before on the last podcast that it's gone now forever. I enjoy how they take these characters that are supposed to be heroes and they have dark sides to them, and then they fight, and then they're not perfect, and they're doing these things that you're just like questioning yourself, and it's great because I think it gives people hope because a lot of people might do some shitty things and then they just kind of give up and like, well, I guess I'm just a shitty person, or maybe I'm not a hero. But this kind of gives you an inspiration, like, oh, I could still have shitty things going on. It's just a balance. They're
Yeah.
just a little bit more on the good side. That's all. They still have all these other flaws. And then you brought up how you could tell everybody, like you said before, about Marvel, how they.
Yeah, that started with Marvel and it started with Spider-Man actually, with the original Spider-Man comic book. I mean, the idea of a superhero at that point was already kind of molded into what DC had created with, how they portrayed Batman and Superman, just like these superhumans almost that didn't really have much flaws. And then when Marvel came around in the early 60s and they introduced Spider-Man, he was a teenager and he had flaws. He was human. So they kind of Marvel worked with that model with a lot of their superheroes, which I think is great because I mean it shows that they are they're human for the most part. They make mistakes. They're not perfect,
Yeah.
and it just makes you like them even more.
Yeah, I think it lets people relate a lot more. And like I said, it's something inspirational about it. As I was leaving, I was thinking about that, and I never really thought about that before. I mean, obviously, you see how they have dark sides, but I never really thought how it translated into culture, I guess. And I think Stan Lee's the creator of Spider-Man, right? He started.
Yeah, well, he's one of the people behind Marvel.
Yeah. So
But did you see his cameo in the
yeah, that
Avengers?
was great. Yeah, that was awesome. I think I really like Stan Lee. Yeah, I mean, the guy's a freaking genius.
It sucks that he's so old. Because,
Yeah.
like, that I mean, his number's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
he's got to be in his 80s,
He's in
right?
his, I think he might be even in his 90s.
Wow, I should Google that.
Yeah, he was, I mean, he was working at Marvel in the 60s. I
Wow.
mean, he was an adult in the 60s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if he's not 90s yet, he's 80s.
92. Oh my
And
God.
92.
He was born in 1922.
Wow.
Wow. That's crazy. That's gonna be a shitty one, right?
Yeah.
When he goes.
Yeah, that is. I have some Wonder if people have him selected in Doug Stanhope's Celebrity Death Pool.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever heard of that?
yeah, yeah. Did Howard Stern used to do something like that too, right?
Oh, did he?
Back in the day, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, getting the thumbs up.
Boom, we're doing it. Joker's wild. We have one viewer. Awesome.
Oh, cool.
So, okay. So tell me about your experience.
Oh, my experience in the
Ugh,
Avengers movie
ugh.
was. So
But
as
you were
I
on a
was telling
date
you,
though. I guess it was the last trailer.
because we walked in when they were doing the Tomorrowland trailer. Was that on there?
Yeah,
Did you
that
see
was
it
on
too?
there too.
We didn't. They didn't show any Star Wars
So
trailer.
maybe no, maybe it was Star Wars then
Because I
Tomorrowland.
remember specifically, because she's a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So I remember specifically we were talking about that, and I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
there's supposedly the Star Wars trailer is going to be on before this." So she was excited about it. I was excited about it.
Yeah.
And then we walked in mid trailers, and it didn't come on. We were like, "Well, we must have missed it."
I think yeah, maybe the Tomorrowland one was last. I know they were both in IMAX because they showed some previews, and then I got in the middle of a preview, and I sat down. Then they said, "Okay, put your glasses on," and then they showed the Star Wars trailer, and then Tomorrowland. I guess but it was I've seen it a million times.
I was gonna say, was it the one that
Same
you've
one.
seen? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
but it was just to see it in 3D
the
on the big
newer
screen.
one.
Yeah, the newer
newer
one.
trailer?
Yeah, the newer one with the or with Harrison Ford in
Oh,
Chewbacca.
okay.
Yeah, at the end. Yeah, yeah. So it was cool to see that, and I want to make some. Sorry to still in the middle of the story, but I want to make some Star Wars predictions here live on my podcast. The first one is I think that Luke Skywalker is going to be a voiced character. I think
You
that
think so?
yes, I
In
think
the new in
in the
this
new
one?
I think he's going to be either disfigured, something is going to have a mask. I don't think it's going to be Mark
Mark
Hamill.
Hamill. I
I
was gonna
think
say
Mark Hamill's going to voice him.
What I'm pretty sure Mark Hamill was part of the production. I mean, maybe he is just a voice.
This is just my
But okay, so these are your predictions.
these are
Okay,
my
so
predictions. I
Mark
didn't read
Hamill,
anything.
is he going to be in? Do you think he's going to be in any scenes? Are we going to see his face at all?
I don't think we are. I just have this feeling by watching the trailer and when he said I have it and then somebody touched R2D2 when he said the force is strong in my family. My father had it. I have it. And then that there was that hand. So I think he's going to be more droid. I don't know. That's just my feeling. It's probably not going to be true. And I also what was my other thing? I think he's talking to when he says my sister had it and you had it. I think he's talking to Luke. I mean Leia's kids.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Because in the books, there's books that came out after that were I don't know if they're going to stick with them, but they had kids. Leia and Han Solo had kids that were strong with the Force.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any other predictions?
That's all I can think of for now. I thought I had more, but brain scramble.
I don't have any predictions. I'm just excited that it's coming out, and
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if you heard this, but J.J. Abrams, which I have kind of mixed feelings about some of his previous work.
What else did he do?
He did
Transformers, right?
Cloverfield.
Okay.
He did Super 8.
Did he do Transformers or no?
No.
No, that was the other guy.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Michael Bay.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, they were both good movies, but they weren't my favorite.
Yeah.
But I think he's gonna do Star Wars right. Oh, he did Star Trek too. He did both of the Star
Yeah.
Treks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the Star Trek.
He's kind of got the monopoly in Hollywood on like sci-fi right now.
Good.
And I think Star Wars is gonna be good because most of the sets that he's using are all prop sets. He's using very little CGI.
Oh,
so
good.
the feel of the movie is going to kind of be what the feel of the original trilogy was.
That's what it seems like just by watching the trailers.
Yeah, and it does. And it seems like he's kind of, going back to the roots.
Good.
And, I'm sure he's a nerd himself, and he wants to make a good representation of what Star Wars can be. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. I'm super excited for it. The prequels are what they are. There was a.
I didn't know what Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be when that movie came out. I think I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking like, why is everyone so mad? Who cares about Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah.
And then like I learned what it was, and I went back and saw it later on, and it was like, oh, okay.
Wait, what do you mean exactly? Because he was
Jar Jar Binks. Everybody was saying he was like an Uncle Tom.
all right.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
So
okay.
not to offend anybody out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want anybody to get upset. But yeah, everybody was saying that.
Oh, all right.
So
I never.
so
I don't.
everybody was pretty upset about with George Lucas specifically, kind of making it seem like Jar Jar was representing something from the past, and it does kind of seem like that.
Oh, I never looked at it through that lens. I never heard that. I don't think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just
Did
thought.
you do you remember people had a big problem with Jar Jar Binks
I
specifically
I
though?
remember people had a problem with Jar Jar Binks, but I thought it was like the hardcore Star Wars nerds like
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah.
just because he's so
Well,
silly and
just because I
ridiculous.
mean, yeah. So there was that level of like Jar Jar is just an
Yeah,
unnecessary character, and he
yeah,
really shouldn't have had such a big part
yeah.
in the movie at all. And then there's the second layer
Oh,
of
I
it
see what you're
where
saying. Like
like
with the slang.
yeah, with the
Yeah,
slang, there's that second layer of like, okay, not
uh,
only is it not a good character, but he's just offensive.
yeah,
He's just plain offensive. So, yeah. And after learning that back then, I definitely can see those parallels. And I mean, the acting was just bad in and of itself in the
yeah.
prequels anyway. So,
The last one, I don't know. The second one was fun. I like the fight scenes and the like when they were fighting. Like when Yoda fought, that was cool.
that was in the
Just to
second
see
one,
him
yeah.
fight, and then when you see them fight,
Yeah.
what's his name, General Grievous, like seeing it with the wielding all the
Oh
lightsabers,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool. You know.
It was cool. It was so CGI though.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it really was. And but yeah, it was cool, but that's why I'm excited about the new one that it's not CGI'd. I mean, the bad guy's name in the second one was Count Dooku.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember thinking that was really fucking stupid.
yeah, yeah.
That's just a dumb name.
Just calling it in, or like phoning it
Just
in.
count. Just call him Count Dookie.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Dooku or Count,
it was
really?
it
Like
was
what?
bad.
Like what are we doing here? So it's going into this recently. Somebody posted a picture on Facebook, and it was in the distance. I don't know what they were, but they look like the AT-ATs, like the big creatures that walk in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Empire Strikes Back, and they look like that from the distance. And someone said, "Do these look familiar?" And, or if you know what these are, you're a true Star Wars fan or whatever. If you know whatever, and then underneath somebody said, "Yeah, George Lucas saw that and it was inspiration for Empire." And then I saw, yeah, and then he saw a giant steaming pile of dog shit, and that was the inspiration for the prequels. Somebody was so mad on there, like those movies weren't that bad. I'm like, okay, come on, that was a funny joke. Come on, really?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like I nailed it with that, but no, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
I might have heard that somewhere too, because that sounds, I don't know, but anyway,
did you see talking about Star Wars? Did you see Patton Oswalt do the Star Wars filibuster on Parks and Rec?
no.
Oh, you have to watch
I've heard
this.
him talk about it where he talks about like you know, he's like I know what I like, but I don't, you know, do you remember Darth Vader? Yeah, well this is what he looked like as a kid. Like I remember that whole bit. Did you hear him do that bit?
Um, yeah, was
It
that
was like John
the
Voight's
John
ball
Voight's
sack. Yeah.
balls? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was he did that. Yeah,
Okay.
that was stand up. He on
Yes.
when he was on Parks and Rec, they just let him improv for like 10 minutes
Wow.
on him doing a filibuster for Star Wars,
Mhm.
and it's awesome.
Okay.
He hits everything, but he kind of talks about Star Wars and Marvel, and kind of gets like those universes combined. He just plays like he basically plays himself, but just like a huge nerd in
Yeah.
court, like um, trying to talk about Star Wars as much as he can, and it was so funny.
Oh, good. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you definitely check that out.
I'll check it
And
out
for
because
everybody
I
else
love Patton
listening.
Oswalt. Anyways, new special is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of new specials, did you see Nate Bargatze's new special?
No.
Oh my God, it's so
Yeah.
good.
All right. I'll
You
check
got
it
to
out.
yeah, check it out. It's on Comedy Central. It just came out on Saturday,
Oh, okay.
and it's like it's on the internet and everything. But
Yeah.
he's so
I'll find it.
good.
Oh, awesome.
God, he's just like. You ever watch? This is why I don't watch a lot of comedy specials because after I watched him, I was so inspired that like I wanted to write, but I felt like everything that I was writing was in his voice.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing that I could. There's nothing I could do about that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that I
Well,
really
you just get
got from
excited,
it. But like, yeah, he's the first comic I've seen in a while, the first special I've seen in a good long time that I really felt inspired.
Awesome.
I mean, he was really great.
Good. Get out there and write. It's good for everybody. Definitely, man. So how did this date go? Pretty
Oh,
well.
back to the date. It went terrible.
Really?
Well, no, it went good.
Well, you said you
It
fell
went good, but there was one thing that happened in the movies that I wasn't happy about. I fell asleep.
Hey, listen, it happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us. Yeah.
I fell asleep during a movie before. It happens, man. I don't remember what movie, but yeah,
Yeah, but during the
I
Avengers,
know. Yeah, but you
during a
got,
date.
you work 50 hours a week. You're a hardworking gentleman, you know. Sometimes
Yeah, that's true.
you're comfortable and you're like, yeah. Do you remember what part it was that you fell asleep?
Um, no,
Oh, okay.
like
Well,
towards the middle, I think.
yeah.
But
I had to run out and pee, I think twice during this movie, so I kind of feel bad. But it was fast. You know, it was like ding ding, and I heard you can hear everything that's going on. And then as soon as you leave, the bathroom's right there, and then pissed and walked right back in. I washed my hands, walked back in. So I didn't really miss much. But
I feel like there's more pressure on me to wash my hands if there's another person in the bathroom.
yeah,
Have you ever felt that way?
yeah, definitely. But
Have,
then again, I sometimes I don't wash. I'm just like, whatever, dude. I need to get my
let's
hands.
be honest here.
Listen,
Yeah,
we're adults here.
yeah, we're adults. I don't go to pee and always wash my hands on the way out, except if there's another person in there. Let's come on. That's just me. What can I say?
What can I say? So overall, you liked it though, the Avengers. I remember before you were saying you thought it was a little long.
It was a little long, but maybe
Yeah,
that was because I fell asleep. I
yeah,
don't know.
that could
Maybe
have
it
been.
was the mood I was
Maybe
in.
you're just
But
tired.
no, I mean, it was good. It was a good movie. I wasn't asleep for that long. I was
What was
asleep
your
for like
favorite
four
part?
or
You
five
think?
minutes. Um, Probably I don't know. The Hulkbuster part was pretty good. Um,
Yeah,
the
that was
ending
cool.
was good.
So is that from the comics? The whole when the Iron Man gets the.
I don't know. It might be.
Oh, okay,
I don't
all
know
right.
everything.
But I didn't know it was called Hulkbuster, so I didn't.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was called the
Oh,
Hulkbuster.
okay, all right.
Did he turn gray in the movie at all?
No.
I thought he was gonna.
Yeah, remember we said
Remember we
that?
talked about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this whole thing back when Marvel just released like a Star Wars comic book #1, and
Really?
yeah,
Is it hard to get?
nah, you
I'm
could
gonna
get it
go.
online for $5.
I'm gonna go buy it.
But in that they make a whole bunch of comics that have like variant covers.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was like it was like the first time in history that they made over 100 variant covers for this comic book that came
Wow.
out. Yeah, so there were so many different issues, and collectors were all trying to get their hands on all of them. Hot Topic came out with their own issue, and in the issue there was like some kind of a spoiler alert that like the Hulk was going to turn gray in the new Avengers movie. So all the collectors wanted to get their hands on that one comic book, which it ended up going up to like $250 on eBay for
Well,
that one
maybe
book. But
maybe he did turn gray during the parts where he was starting to get a little human as the Hulk, and I just didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? When he like, remember before Iron Man knocked him out, when he started to see the people fleeing, and he was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" Do you
mm,
know what I'm talking about? That part in the movie? Were you sleeping? Were you sleeping,
that was
Pru?
probably
Were
part
you
where I was
sleeping?
asleep. That was probably part where I was asleep. I have to go back and watch it
Yeah.
again.
There was a couple parts where he started to get human, and maybe he did turn gray, and I just didn't realize because I feel like he was maybe a different color. I'd have to probably ask Sean Murray that one because he saw it like 3 or 4 times. So he
Oh
would
my
know.
god, I saw it that many
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Oh wow,
yeah.
wow.
It's on at 10. I'm thinking about going. We could probably leave here and go to the North Haven show. There's probably a late show. Talk these guys into it.
I could use some sleep.
Yeah, I know. Heyo. So Star Wars. I'm gonna have to go out and get that. That's cool. So where does it start from the new
Uh,
episode 1 of the comics?
it starts in like the original trilogy
Oh, okay.
timeline
Oh,
kind of
okay.
area. Like it doesn't like it starts around that time. Like Luke and Han are they're all young,
Oh,
like
okay. All right.
what they were back then.
Cool.
So it's kind of like takes place around that time.
Oh, good. All right.
And there's also like there's like a Darth Vader comic book that they came out with, and a Princess Leia comic book that they came out with. So Marvel basically will come out with as many books as they can to uh to just make money with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely one thing I've learned from like trying to get into the comic book, the actual reading comic book industry.
It's tough. There's a lot of content.
Oh yeah, there's a ton. I mean, it's good stuff, but you can't read all of it,
Yeah.
and it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much money.
Hmm.
But what else is going on with you? I feel like we haven't talked in a while.
Well, I have been doing this, doing the comedy, DJing a lot. I've been doing a lot of weddings. Trying to think if I have any funny stories from these weddings that I've been doing. I don't know, man. Just busy. Like it seems like I'm always doing something, which is good. You know, time is really kind of flying by, but I'm having a good time, so
Nice,
I can't really
nice.
complain. Yeah. I actually have an idea that I might want to do another a podcast, just me or like with one guest. I'm gonna call it because I've been doing this thing lately where I've been smoking a little bit of weed, and well, we used to do it like we talk and we'd rant on certain subjects,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been doing it with like friends of mine or people I smoke with, and we just rant about these things. Like the last thing I talked about, which was a really good rant, was the whole thing that was going on in Baltimore, but was more about like racism, and I go into these like states where I just have all these ideas and I talk, and I get all the content out there. And I was halfway through, and I go, "Hang on, let me start recording this." And I started recording one, and it was this girl that I'm friends with, and I was thinking to myself the whole time, like, I should be recording this somehow. And I don't know if I'm going to do it video style, just maybe audio, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to release it on the comedy thing because I don't know if it's really comedy. It's just more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
What do you think about the Baltimore thing?
well, basically, what I was talking about was that because the girl who I was talking to is black, and she asked me how I feel and how about racism and stuff, and I told her my experience. I was in the Marine Corps in the '90s, and I was in a shop. I worked on airplanes, and there was different shops for different areas that you did. I worked on ejection seats, and there's a few guys in there, and it was like everybody in my shop was white for some reason.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a couple guys there from down south, and they would they would like say they were racist, like joke around, right? And and at first I thought maybe some of them were. I never really said anything. I was the new guy. I just kind of kept my mouth shut. And they know that the way I dressed, and I like listened to rap music and stuff, so they knew like I wasn't racist. I guess I got a black friend, whatever. I don't know, but just the way I talked, I was like, but so anyway, that's how I kind of got the impression of them. But then I slowly realized that they weren't racist. What it was, there was a couple guys in our squadron that were black that were assholes, right? So they didn't like these people, which not many people did. This one guy was higher up, and he was just a total asshole for no reason. So they would use racial slurs against these guys that they didn't like, right? In the privacy of our own whatever it was shop, and I'd just be like, "Oh, this is horrible." So but then there was other black people in the squadron that were cool people. Everyone liked them. We were friends with them. They'd come in. They would go to parties with them. They would hang out with them. They'd hang out with their family. So I'm like, these guys. So I'm thinking, I'm like, these guys aren't racist. They just don't like these guys that are assholes. So whenever they referred to, say the guy's name was Joe, who's an asshole, they'd be like, oh, fuck that guy, that black asshole, or whatever. But then when they referred to like Fred, they'd be like, oh, Fred's a cool dude. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that they were racist. They thought they were racist, but they weren't. Does that make sense?
Uh,
Like they were pretending. I don't know if they were pretending, but they were. It was like fashionable or something. So they said they were, but clearly they weren't because they were friends with these other guys. Whereas I said that's bad, but it's not as bad as somebody who doesn't think they're racist or doesn't claim to be racist, but is behind closed doors. So if there's people that are like upper class or whoever they are, in life, they pretend to be progressive and not racist, but then like they don't want their kids playing with black kids secretly. They're like, oh, why don't you come over here? You know what I mean?
mhm.
So that is, I think that's worse. Obviously, the slurs thing is terrible, but when I got to the core of it, I'm like, these guys just don't like assholes, and they're just saying that. And the way they were saying it, like I said, is kind of like they wanted to be accepted, or maybe it was because they're from the South, and back then it was different. I don't know. But so that's one of the things that I highlighted with her. And then another thing was I was telling her that it was really more of a class issue. It's not so much of a race issue as it is. We have a class issue in this problem where there's higher people that are really higher up that have a lot of money, and then
Mhm.
there's the rest of us, and the rest of us are like middle class or poor, or whatever, and we tend to fight with each other. So you have the white people fighting the poor white people fighting the poor black people or whatever, or like, the tension that's going on. And it keeps us distracted from the real problem, who are the people with all the money that are calling the
Yeah.
shots, that are screwing us over, like the banks, these banks that fail and they get bailed out, stuff like
Too
that. So
big
the
to fail.
CEOs, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the real problem. And then also you can go into just environment. I mean, some where these people live. And that's the thing. It's not just only black people. It's black people and white people. And you see this shit on Facebook where people are just they're one camp or another. Like, oh, I'm for the police. Oh no, I'm for the people who are rioting. And it's like, well, maybe they're both wrong and they're both right. Like, why can't we be on the side of a rational person who's not smashing a CVS or a cop killing somebody? Like I've been saying that the whole time. Why do we have to be on one side or the other? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what happened in Baltimore. I know like the cops killed Freddie Gray.
Yeah.
I don't really know the
I
circumstances of
don't
what
know. Yeah,
happened.
I'm not because I don't watch the news like I said anymore. I'm starting to dabble in it a little more now.
Yeah.
But this guy was in police custody and he died. That's all I really know. But even
Yeah,
if
that's all I know
then
too.
I know that they arrested 6 police officers. Which another thing about that is I don't know if they were responsible or not, or if they're just arresting him to calm the rioters down, or if they were. I don't because like I said, I don't know enough about it. But it's that story again where it might not have been this issue, but just like the LA riots that happened in the 90s, it wasn't
Mm.
about Rodney King. It was about the way the fucking police were just running rampant and people just had enough. So
Yeah.
that was like the spark that ignited the fire, and I think that's what this was. So there's definitely more to it, but all you get is people talking about, oh, they're out there, these people
Yeah.
shouldn't be rioting, and then you get, oh, these cops shouldn't be. Yeah, but let's talk about something to
Yeah.
change it, something
I
positive.
think that there is a systemic problem, I think, with police officers and with um a certain, socioeconomic class.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is an injustice there, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that the rioters are doing the right thing by rioting. I've been hearing a lot of progressives, a lot of people supporting the rioters.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like, whatever happened to peaceful protests?
Yeah.
Like, why can't they protest but be peaceful? I
Yeah.
mean, that's how the civil rights movement was won,
Well,
through peaceful protests.
yeah.
I think. I don't know. Maybe there was a little violence, but at the same time, like,
Well, even there's a quote by Martin Luther King. I should probably look it up, where he was starting to get on the side, and I think it was Dan Carlin that was talking about it, who does this podcast called Hardcore History and podcast called DC Common Sense, and he really does his homework. And he was saying how even it seemed like he was getting a little fed up. Even Martin Luther King was kind of getting fed up. Like it was just, it seemed like he
fed up with the peaceful riot, the
yeah,
peaceful
just
protesting.
with everything that was going on. It's like everybody has their limit.
Yeah,
So I mean,
exactly.
I don't know the exact story,
Yeah,
but
like, so
I see what you're saying.
part of me thinks like, they shouldn't be rioting, but part of me is kind of, I've been in the state of mind where I feel like I wanted justice, and
Yeah,
I was ready to go out and riot too.
yeah,
So it's like, part of me feels like they shouldn't be doing that, but like, I also know what it's like to feel like
yeah,
in that state of mind where you want to go and do something. So, I can't say either way whether it's right or wrong. It's just,
yeah.
it's
It's
kind of,
something that you got to look at it for what it's easy to point fingers and say, oh, you shouldn't riot, or oh, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, and it's like, well, that's good, but I think that's not helping. I think what is helping is if we could empathize with these people, see where they're coming from, see why it's going on, and then obviously you never want violence, but I
yeah.
think if you could see it and then get it and say, oh, okay, I get it, well, then at least it will help you understand, and then maybe you can help solve the problem. So it's already something that's done, but sitting there just yelling at people for rioting, I mean, I guess you got to tell them not to riot, obviously.
Yeah, it's like,
But
right,
just
yeah.
slanging back and forth on social media or Facebook or whatever it is, it's not really solving anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a big issue. It's really there's no simple answer. That's
Yeah,
that's the.
exactly. There isn't.
But like I said, like and you were saying, there's got to be a middle of the road somewhere where we could start to solve this or get together. I mean, I guess solve is a horrible word, but just at least go in the right direction with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time.
I
I
think
mean,
we need
social.
Ultron. That's what we need. We need Ultron to come and bring
Oh
peace
boy,
on the world.
Ultron. He was a smart guy, wasn't
Yeah.
he? He was a smart robot.
That's that's another thing I'd love to talk about is artificial intelligence. because they bring that up in Ultron, and then a lot of people have been talking about artificial intelligence lately. Like Elon Musk had this big warning about it.
Elon Musk, the real life Tony Stark.
Yeah, and then I heard Joe Rogan. He had on Rogan's podcast. He had Sam Harris on, who's an
Oh yeah, I didn't listen to that one yet, but
oh
that was it good?
yeah, it was good. And I really look at Sam Harris in a different light now because before it seemed whenever I heard him talk, I had this feeling as if he was kind of like being judgmental and telling people how they should be. But now I realize that he's just kind of super impartial and just like stating facts, and he's not really telling anybody. He's just saying you shouldn't do this because that's dangerous to do. You shouldn't group these people. You shouldn't do that. Where at first, like I said, I just thought he was being judgmental, and he talks about they talk about the artificial intelligence thing, and it gets pretty deep. It's a very deep thing to go into because there like a lot of people that say once if a robot or whatever it is, a computer program becomes self-aware, that it's going to learn so much knowledge. Just like a perfect example is the Ultron thing. If you watch it, you see how it gets so smart so fast. But the problem is they anthropomorphized. Is that the right word? They make it like
Yeah, I know
human.
what you mean. Yeah.
They make it like human, where it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna have human character. I mean, I guess it could have human characteristics, but it's gonna be more calculating and more I don't know if it'll be logical. I guess it just really depends on the program, but it's going to learn so much information that we're not going to be able to grasp in a short amount of time. It's going to be smarter than any human ever, and then like a week later, it's going to be way far ahead because it's just going to learn. So they're really not sure how it's going to affect it. And his best case scenario was that say something does come along and the artificial intelligence comes along, and it's going to be a huge economic boom for us if it stays benevolent and it doesn't go crazy in Terminator style. And it's going to start to create everything. There's going to be a lot less labor. It's going to build machines to do things. So he said that's great because it's going to create a lot of wealth. But the problem is the way our system is set up right now, it's not set up to spread wealth evenly at all. So it's going to be even a huge disparage. And then if we're the first country to do it, there's going to be other countries that are worried because basically we're going to have a war machine. This thing could build drones if it wants and go attack, and it could do whatever it wants. So that's his concern. He said that's the best case scenario. So he said we got to start changing the way the government is now, way people are. We got to do something different because if this comes along, he's like, we're not going to be able to handle it. And it's a great point. It really is.
Who was saying that? Elon
Sam
or
Harris.
Sam Harris?
Sam Harris. And he said he wasn't really concerned about it until recently, that when Elon Musk said something about it, and then he looked into it, and
Yeah, those guys are super smart. I'm sure if Elon Musk has an issue with it, considering who he is and where he is on the cutting edge of technology, I'm sure that there's something to gain from listening to him.
Yeah, and it's not, like I said, it's not what you would think. Like, people are like, oh, he must be afraid of it because it's going to be like Terminator. It's going to take over the world. But I don't think that's what he's saying. He's saying that we're not ready. Our government isn't set up for it, and it's going to be a big revolution or I don't know, just a big change. Kind of like how the internet's changed everything so much.
Yeah, I definitely think that he's right. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with artificial intelligence and the robot future.
Yeah.
How long do you give yourself? Let's say there was a Terminator style.
Terminator.
Yeah, let's say there was a Terminator style.
Like 5 seconds.
Take over. Yeah.
Man.
Do you give yourself longer in a zombie apocalypse or a Terminator apocalypse?
I give the human race longer in a zombie apocalypse because the things that the movies like the Terminator and the Matrix don't get is that if AI does happen, it's going to be so smart. It's going to be like the difference between us and like an ant. That's how much smarter it's going to be than us. So, man, and if it's violent and it wants to exterminate us for some reason, we're done. There's nowhere we're going to be able to hide. They maybe, I guess, but at least in zombie apocalypse, there isn't like a super intelligent organism trying to exterminate us. It's just other people. And I actually, my thing is, I don't think that the zombie apocalypse is going to be or if it is. They said if there was a zombie apocalypse, I don't think it would be as bad as they show in the movies because, um, I don't know. I just think it wouldn't be that horrific. People would still die and there'd be zombies, but I don't think there'd be like hordes of people. I don't know.
Mm. Well,
I,
how long do you give yourself
in a
specifically
zombie apocalypse,
in each
Rick
apocalypse?
Grimes, baby. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty well prepared for something like that, I guess.
Well, you tell a
Just because I have
joke.
like,
You do that joke
yeah,
about.
yeah, because I have survival skills. I was in the Marines. I'm good with weapons. Something I like to do is like to go to the range and shoot, and I'm good in the woods. I think I could get people. I can kind of rally people. So I think I'd be all right in that situation, but I'd probably be the first one bit. Like I would just turn around and there'd be a zombie. There'd be nothing I could do. Just I'm like, oh man, I'd be that original zombie with the fucking mohawk. You could see him in Atlanta. I just watched one recently. This dude had the mohawk. I'm like, oh, it's me. I'd be the first one. Um, so I think that would be great. But even in the Matrix, it seemed that all of humans were extinct and they just kept them along for batteries, and the ones that got free are the ones that made the city. Maybe there's like a handful left, you know what I mean? So the Matrix and the Terminator, those in those type scenarios, I think we're just done. I don't give myself
Yeah.
very long.
No.
Cuz if they plan to attack us, they're not going to it'd be like playing chess. It'd be like a cricket playing chess with a human, because and what they would do is they just get everything ready, and then once they knew for sure that they could just toast everybody, then boom, we'd all be toast somehow. They wouldn't attack us not ready. They wouldn't, have some half-baked scheme to attack us. Like, let's take over the humans. That would be like methodical and okay, this is how we're gonna do it.
Hmm.
So that's my thing. But I don't really think that's gonna. Even if the AI takes over, I don't think they're gonna. I think that's a human quality that we put on things, that we must rule the world and kill everybody. I think it'll be peaceful. That's my take. My
Yeah.
optimistic
Well,
view.
I think the thing that like guys like Elon Musk worry about with AI is that you know the giving robots the ability to learn themselves.
Yeah.
So, and once a robot starts learning how the world works, taking that information and rationalizing, him, taking over because that robot knows that it can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of what they're worried about, where we don't necessarily have to put those we don't have to put the program in there with human qualities,
Mm-hmm.
but making the robots so smart where they can actually learn themselves is, I think, the scary quality
Yeah. Well.
that they're looking at, that they want to avoid.
Yeah. But the problem is once it happens, you can't stop it.
Exactly.
So they were talking about they have some tests, and I should go back and listen to this part because I don't know if he said they should do it or some people are, where the stuff that they're working on, they have dummy ports to the internet, so they'll see if whatever computer it is tries to ever access the internet by itself. So they're
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I don't know if he said they should or they are.
Oh, wow, I never thought of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
if they don't have the ability to look to connect to the internet, then
But if they see that it tries, then they know they can either shut it down and pause it or say, hey, what do we do now? But I think it's inevitable that we're going to create it as long as we don't blow ourselves up, because people are nonstop working on it. Like, how we work on comedy, and then there's some people that work on comedy like maniacs. There's people that are working like that, but on creating AI. Because they know that someone's going to do it, so they might as well be the person. That's, so I don't know. It's a very interesting topic, though, I think. Very multifaceted. There's so many ways it could go and so many arguments. But the problem is no one's having this discussion except for us on a fucking podcast or like Rogan or these people. Like Elon Musk is, but no like congressman.
yeah.
We
Oh,
have no
yeah.
real leadership
Ugh.
in this country
Have
anymore.
you been watching the this week? A bunch of new candidates came forward.
No,
that are
I
running
gave up
for
on all
president.
that. I gave up on all that. It's just
I mean, yeah. No, I agree with you. I gave up on it too. I mean, there's nobody that I really want to vote for, but it's just the Daily Show's been doing a good job of just kind of taking them down like
Mhm.
every day. I mean, guys like Ted Cruz. I mean, you know who that is?
No, I don't think so. Wait, is he the
He's
DA guy?
No, he's a senator from I don't even know.
I've heard the
He's a
name.
Republican. A
Yeah.
bunch of Republican candidates have entered the ring,
Yeah.
and it's just it's scary the level that they're on. He took down Mike Huckabee.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Huckabee was like giving some speech about how he was running for president this week, and he actually said his actual sentence was, and I quote, um, "I have never used a gun to murder somebody."
Wow.
Like something along those lines. I probably just fucked it up totally, but
Something like that.
yeah, no, I was on the Daily Show last night, and it's so funny that these are the candidates, these are the people that are running for president, and they're not
Well,
not really the
my
best people for the job.
no, not at all. And my thing is, the problem with being president now, as opposed to like when we were a new country, is back then you didn't have to be perfect to be president, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
And
a good point.
you want a
You
leader.
have to be. Yeah,
You
nowadays
want
it's
a
like you got to
leader.
be perfect.
Yeah, you have
be
to be
president.
squeaky clean, but nobody is squeaky clean. So these people have probably horrible skeletons in their closet,
Oh yeah.
and they're just puppets, really. But the scary thing is, like, so okay, so if you have somebody like, Barack Obama, for example, our current president, and he has to sit at a table with who's the Russian guy?
Putin.
Putin. Okay, Vladimir Putin. He's got to sit at a table. Now, Vladimir Putin used to run the KGB. Okay, he's killed people probably himself with his bare hands. He's He's
Oh,
crazy.
Yeah. He's a bad dude.
He's bad. He's crazy. Okay, I'm not trying to say he's a good guy. He's crazy, but who do you want sitting across from him at the negotiating table? You want some squeaky clean puppet guy, or do you want someone that maybe isn't perfect, but I want somebody where, because I'm a big poker player, so I want somebody where Putin has to think twice, like, because Putin knows that Obama's not going to do anything irrational, right? He knows that he's not going to get mad and push the button and nuke,
Yeah.
But you never know if you had somebody crazy there, Putin couldn't do whatever, because he would have in the back of his mind, he would always be like, well, that guy's a little, like, he might push the button, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to piss him off too much. So Putin knows, because he's probably interrogated millions of people. He knows who he's dealing with. But if he's dealing with a kind of not a crazy, you don't want like a crazy person as president, but you want somebody that's a little more well-rounded, that might have a little bit of a temper, that can think and that can act, and that's a good leader. And that's what we don't have in this country. We have good leaders, but they're not in political positions. That's a problem. And that's what we need. We need a leader that is a person.
Yeah, well, we need politicians that aren't career politicians.
Yeah.
We need people who are actually from different fields of industry, who are leaders in those fields, to then go into politics and try to run the country for the good of the people.
Yeah.
Which just isn't how it works. People get into politics to be politicians, and they're only interested in furthering their career. They're only interested in making connections to further their career. It's not about the people at all.
Yeah,
it's about putting a smile on your face and acting like you're for the people, which everyone sees right through.
Yeah.
Or everybody who's paying attention sees right through. It's about sticking to your party line no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't know. I wish it could change, but I don't see that changing.
It has to change, because A, nothing stays the same forever, and B, people are starting to realize it. And just like with this thing in Baltimore where people freaked out and rioted, what happens is, if you're a group of people, and you're being wronged in whatever way.
Yeah.
So let's say the people in Baltimore, right? They're being wronged. The cops are treating them like shit. They're beating them up, killing people. So you can only take so much where if you don't have a release valve. So these people, they probably have tried to protest, or they probably have tried to write letters and do things, but it hasn't worked. So finally this big profile case happens, and then, everything explodes. So just imagine the whole country, because we have systems in place. Like, the forefathers are smart. They realize that things need to change. There needs to be constitutional amendments. People need to be able to protest, freedom of speech, because if they could protest, then they could vent. But now you have these freedom of speech areas, which are totally creepy. So, like, if they have the Republican National Convention, 2 blocks down the street, there's a place where you could protest. It's the protest area. It's like in a free speech zone. That's what they call them, free speech zones. So you can't get in front of the place, the hotel, wherever it's being held, and get on the thing, and you can't start freaking out. So
they're basically hiding the protest.
They're hiding it, and what happens is people don't feel validated. They feel like their points aren't getting out there. They're not in front of people.
Who would? Yeah.
And so what happens is, after years and years of that, it starts to build up, and there's no pressure release, which it's supposed to be built in. So they're cutting off all these releases. So what's happening is the pressure is building up more. Instead of letting it vent, it's gonna explode. Now, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a violent revolution, or no, I'm saying revolution, but it doesn't have to be a violent outburst. It could be a lot of different things. But I think that's what's going on right now. In fact, I've heard other people talk about it, and it's just amazing. That's why I like to talk to people about it and see where they're at, and then just talk. But people need outlets, and I think that's why the internet's great too, because it will allow whatever kind of revolution or change without a bloody or violent one. It's just an information,
Yeah.
so people can hear people talk about it and say, "Oh yeah, that's what." And after a while, it'll change. I hope, or we
Yeah.
become a police state, and Alex Jones is right, and FEMA camps. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think it's slowly but surely changing.
We have like about we've been going for 50 minutes, so we have a little less than 10 minutes. Anything else? Did you
Um,
want to add to what I just said? I'm sorry, I just kind of said that.
no, I mean I think you're right. I think that the information age that we're in is definitely helping.
Yeah,
But I mean, there's also the opposite reaction to that, which is the government trying to shut down as much as they can. The
yeah.
government snooping on all
Hmm.
of the stuff that each of us individually do, which has nothing to do with national security at all. It's just you know just a machine that's in place to just get any piece of information that goes from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So I think that has to come to an end.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it will. I think what we're seeing is change. We don't realize it now because we're like at a movie theater, like right in front of the screen. Like it's a
yeah,
great analogy. Another analogy from Dan Carlin, and where he says where people if you look back 500 years ago on today, we're gonna say, wow, the internet came and all this information and it changed everything. This analogy that I like to use, I might have talked about it before, probably not on the podcast, where back in the day when you got information, if something happened on the other side of the world, you'd have to wait for like a boat to come and
yeah,
people to come.
exactly, yeah,
So people's information, it was like a small stream. Like if you had like a spigot outside your house, it's like a little bit of water dripping. That's the information they have. And, then slowly it started turning on more. And then you had letters, and then there was the telegraph, and then there was the telephone, and then there was TV. So it was like a constant rush. But now it's like the thing just exploded, and all the
yeah.
water's coming out like a geyser. That's what it's like now. In the changes we're seeing with the riots or whatever it is, people getting on and expressing their views online, and like we didn't invade Syria because everyone freaked out about it. Like that's a big win
Mm,
for us, I think. Even though we
well,
we ended up going in there anyway.
well, we didn't invade Syria because Putin basically was behind Syria.
Yeah.
So I think that
Well,
that
that
had a
that
lot
was
to do with
part of
it.
it,
But
and
yeah,
then the
but you're
people
right.
said we
There
don't
is
want to
there
go.
was a strong push at that moment in time
Yeah.
of a lot of anti-war support in
Yeah.
America because we've just had so enough of it.
Yeah.
So
So
there was definitely that voice that was being heard. But I mean, you got to wonder if the media was only really letting that become news because secretly Putin was behind Syria and they knew that we couldn't touch Syria
yeah.
at
So they
all.
don't want them. Yeah.
So maybe it could have been like the media. The media controls everything
Oh
in this
yeah. Yeah.
country. They control what, not so much internet information. Like I think the youth kind of has adapted the internet as their main source of,
Which is very
which is great. Yeah,
optimistic.
that's great. But I think older folks listen to the news and they listen
Yeah.
to TV more. So I think that maybe that even could have been a push by the media
Oh
to,
yeah. Totally.
yeah,
To calm us down. That's very quite possible. But I think that regardless, that it's just full of information is just changing things that
yeah,
we in a way we don't understand yet because it's happening right in front of our faces, and we just see these things that happen. We're like, wow, that's happening over there. But I think it has to do with this flow of information that is just it's like anything you need to know is just right there. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a good place to probably end this conversation, though,
All
because
right.
we're getting 5 minutes. But unless you have,
No,
anything else you
I'm
want to
good.
add?
I'm all set.
Yeah.
We can continue our observations on this existence we call reality next time.
Yes, totally. Maybe not. But all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to this. Thanks for watching if you watched it. Shows coming up, like I said. Joker's Wild. I'm going to be here next week on the $5 cheap show, Cheap Laughs.
Nice, nice.
Come check it out Wednesday, $5, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. And then I'm going to be hosting the 22nd and 23rd at Joker's Wild. Big announcement here on the podcast.
May or June?
May.
May, nice.
May,
nice,
yeah, in a couple
nice.
weeks I'll be here
Who's the
hosting.
headliner?
Pat told me today, but I do not remember, so I'm going to have to come back. I guess
For next time.
Yeah, he told me who it was, and he was trying to sound. It was on the podcast, and he was saying he was trying to sound not racist, but I guess the guy's either Indian or Middle Eastern or something because of his name, and they said they're going to go around to like convenience stores and trying to like push it or something, but try because I don't know, he's trying to be funny.
Well, it should be a good show.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I'm excited. I don't honestly. I care who's there, but I don't because I'm just happy to be on the show and doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be fun.
Nice. Good job. Good for
yeah,
you.
so we're doing that, and then
show.
the 28th we're back at Bar 333. So 8
Nice.
o'clock. Yes. All right. Anything
Awesome.
you want to plug or?
Nothing coming up in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm sure I'll be on one of these cheap laughs.
Did you
shows.
email?
I haven't talked to Pat about it yet, but
you
I gotta hit him up, get on one of these in
Yes.
the next month or so.
If you're a comedian and you're listening, you want to be on these shows, just email him at
Joker's Wild Booking
right?
at
gmail.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If you need to get a hold of us, you can find us at comedylol.com. Leave comments, bitches, complaints, whatever you want to do. Let us know what you think. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.